We're at the Lexington Village home of Sue Tisiker, a Republican candidate for the Township Council. She is a former special education teacher and is now the owner and operator of an insurance firm, the New Jersey Agency Incorporated. Sue has lived in East Brunswick for 9 years and is vice chairperson of the Republican Municipal Committee. She's also a member of the National Women's Political Caucus, the Chamber of Commerce, and the Lexington Village Homeowners Association.
Aeronautical engineering.
Sue, you've lived here since 1973.
Yes.
And I'm interested in knowing, when did you get interested in politics and why do you want to be a councilwoman?
I have always been interested in politics. My family has always been interested in politics. And in fact, before me, my grandfather ran for political office. He ran for council in the small town in Pennsylvania that I come from. My father ran for tax collector, and my mother also ran for tax collector. And that goes back many, many years.
Did they win?
None of them won. None of them won.
Okay.
You know? That's where I wear my little pin, you know, that's a little horseshoe. Mm-hmm. When it's turned up, it's supposed to gather all the good luck. So I think that all the good luck coming is going to come in my direction, I hope.
And how do you think you'll get it? How have you been campaigning?
We've been campaigning very, very hard. In particular, I myself have been meeting as many people as possible, talking to them, finding out what their concerns are about East Brunswick. Their concerns are many. Sometimes they're surprising. Sometimes they're concerns that I suspected people had all along. The Wheelabrator Fry incinerator that's going to be built at the end of town is a concern to everybody all over the township. The landfill itself is a concern to many people, and I find that people are very much aware of both issues. Taxes affect everybody. They affect the homeowner, they affect the businessman, they affect the renter, and that's of interest to everyone, and everyone is most concerned what's going to happen with the recent revaluation. Other than that, I think that people are concerned about our township services. And time again, I hear stories, personal incidences that people have had with township employees or township departments, really. Incidences of non-response, sometimes in cases where actual safety was involved. And I find that shocking and very much disturbing. In some cases, people, particularly in areas where they pay very high taxes, are concerned that the quality of services is just not being delivered, that sometimes they're the victims of some of our ordinances rather than the beneficiaries.
Do you think that our government goes too far? That their ordinances are too all-encompassing in somebody's life?
I'm not sure. I think it mostly depends on how the ordinances are enforced. The ordinances are there to protect the people of East Brunswick, to protect their health, to protect their welfare, and I think they should be used in that way. And I think that when they are a great benefit to all of us. I think that there are too often cases when this particular administration will make decisions based on legal boundaries and will not take into account the people involved or the interests of the people involved. I think too often they fall back and say, well, we have to do it. You know, we have no choice in this. Well, you always have a choice in something in some way. And I think it's important to listen to both sides of a question, to address both sides, and to listen to them with respect. And that's not what's being done in this administration at all.
Do you find when people come before the council, they have a problem with the council members?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. So many times I've sat in the council chamber and I've watched groups come before the council. Groups who come with legitimate concerns about their own neighborhoods. And if you don't worry about your own neighborhood, nobody else will. So these are the most concerned citizens in East Brunswick. They take it upon themselves to try to make some beneficial change or prevent something bad from happening. But they come before the council, they present their case, and you know in East Brunswick that our people are our most valuable resource. And when people speak before the council in their own interests on subjects that touch them intimately, they are well informed and they are intelligent, and the council doesn't listen. And people leave the council and they feel that they have not been listened to, or that they have been listened to but not heard, and they feel that they have not been treated properly at all, and that all the decisions concerning the issue that's so important to them was made ahead of time, and that the council is doing nothing but putting a rubber stamp on some decision that was made behind closed doors. That, I think, must stop.
Now, you were around for the group home
Yes.
when the people came to complain that they didn't want this group home for retarded adults on their block.
Well, I wasn't really.
But I know you spoke to these people and you were concerned about that issue.
I am concerned about that issue very much. I was in the council chamber when 5 or 6 or 7 people came to ask questions. I was never there when there was a large group. In fact, it was not my experience at all to be part of any large group. But there was a small group of people who came. And they were simply asking questions. They were concerned about the quality of services that was going to be delivered by the group home, about the accountability of the people who were running the group home, and they were concerned about the impact of the group home on their neighborhood, And I was very much concerned with the way they were treated. They were shouted down by the council president. Unheard of, appalling way to treat people who come in concerned as they were. After the meeting, they were assailed at the back of the council, the courtroom, by councilmen. And I just couldn't believe that that was happening. I knew one of the women who belonged to this small group of people, and I asked her, what the problem was, what was occurring, what was the situation. And she explained to me that there was a group home, which we should explain, by the way, is a home for the developmentally disadvantaged. It's a home that is to accommodate not more than 6 people, and it's a home just like the kind of home you and I live in, and they were being located by the state in residential neighborhoods all over the state. There are 50 or 52 of them now in operation. But this particular group was concerned about the quality of services in particular, about the kind of contract being let to the subcontractors who were going to run the home. And they were concerned that the group home be an asset in their community. The arguments that they presented, the point of view that they presented was so legitimate, it was so well-founded, and it was so well thought out, that almost immediately the Department of Mental Retardation made a change in the kind of contract that they let to the not-for-profit organizations that run the group homes. Previously, the kind of contract that was let made the not-for-profit organization the owner of the group home after the end of a 20-year contract period. They felt that was wrong. In addition, it didn't spell out in any real concrete way the kind of education needed or the kind of, for the employees there, the kind of supervision that was going to be provided, and they had other concerns. Because of the actions that they took, there's going to be probably a change in public law. So you can see, that this was not any emotional group. But there are a number of concerns that remain with group homes. Group homes are important to all of us. There are many people in East Brunswick who have mentally retarded adults, their own children, living with them. And they have to think about what's going to happen to those children when they themselves, the parents, are no longer there to care for them.
Now, when you go to speak to groups,
Yes.
do you find that as a woman, people don't take you as seriously as they might a man? Is there a problem, or are
A
people
woman
used
always
to it?
has the problem of establishing her credibility. Women love women, and they want to see more women in public office. Millicent Fenwick, has tremendous support from both men and women all over the state, everywhere I go. But a woman always has the problem of establishing her credibility. People, on the other hand, think that we're more honest, and of course they're right about that. And they think that we bring more heart, I think, to any subject that we address.
The Republicans just put out the Cancer Rally News as part of
Yes.
their campaign literature. I have heard a lot of criticism about it. They say that it's just too hard-hitting, it's based on unfounded rumors, and untruths. Can you defend the Cancer Alley Times?
Somebody called me up tonight, somebody who had just gotten the Cancer Alley Times in his mail. In fact, he had talked to me earlier today. He called me up and he said, Sue, I just got this in the mail. It's terrific. The reason that he said that, I think, is that it addresses and the principal situation that we face in East Brunswick when we're anticipating the establishment of Wheelabrator Fry, the garbage burning incinerator at the edge of town. And it presents that problem in a realistic way. The problem is simply this. The New Jersey State Department of Health did a study that involved pinpointing the incidences of various kinds of diseases, one of them being cancer in the state. And they discovered that Middlesex County ranked second only to Hudson County in the incidence of cancer death for women. And it ranked first in the incidence of cancer death for men. The state legislature, as part of the same study, made the statement that New Jersey has the highest incidence of cancer mortalities in the entire country, in the entire United States, and that many of these, and that this could be attributed in many cases with certain kinds of cancer incidences to the environment around us.
But what could the Republicans do about this? Is it fair to play at an issue that you really can't address?
Oh, but we can address it. It's our business to address this problem. That's the responsibility of the council. You see, there are so many people whose time and talent, experts, whose time and talent at the local level, the state level, at the federal level, and on the international level, their time is spent trying to find solutions to the grave problems that we have with solid waste disposal. But the responsibility of the East Brunswick Council is to protect the health and the welfare of the people of East Brunswick, not to try to go out and solve problems, that confound the experts. And we can solve these problems. We have to address them. The Solid Waste Management Authority has laws which restrict what can go into a landfill and how much air pollution and this sort of thing. And they state very specifically that it is the responsibility of the local health official to enforce these regulations, and that they have the full effect of the law. That's why the responsibility lies here.
What should the council be doing that they are not doing now?
There are a number of things that the council could be doing, I think. I think the first thing they could recognize immediately is that we already live in an environment that isn't the safest possible environment, and we have to accept that. That's a given fact. Now, should we, given that situation, given the fact that we have a landfill sitting at the edge of town, and given the fact that landfills are not regulated as well as they should be, that they are a known source of contamination, and that the polluting of our aquifers from landfills is such a concern everywhere, should they, under those circumstances, be thinking about bringing into East Brunswick another polluter?
But isn't the council fighting it? Isn't the administration fighting this?
No. The council is not fighting it at all. The council put the Wheelabrator Fry incinerator on their master plan. And that was after some of them had seen it. So they may claim now to be thinking of our health and welfare. What were they thinking of when they put it on the master plan? What about the time when CAUSE, the environmental organization, appeared before the council and said, let's put it down for a public referendum. It'll be a non-binding referendum, but let the public speak. Maybe the people of East Brunswick are against it. Maybe the people of East Brunswick are not against it. But let them have their say. And it wasn't done. The council, led by the Democrats, backed down on that commitment 100%. And that effort was led by Jerome O'Connor. That was wrong, and it should not be. It was another example of where the people of East Brunswick and their feelings and concerns were swept under the rug, and the plan just proceeded and is at this time proceeding.
Do you think that people might have been misled to believe that referendum might be binding?
No, not at all. In fact, the importance of whether the referendum was binding or non-binding was not necessarily the principal concern. The principal concern was that the people speak. There are communities in New Jersey where they have had referendums, and where as a result of those referendums, the incinerators that were going to be built there were never built. And none of those referendums were binding. They were all, every single one, non-binding.
Sue, I know we could talk for another hour and a half. There are so many things we didn't even get to touch upon, but we're out of time. And I want to thank you for
Rhea.
having me to your home.
Thank you for coming, and I'm sorry we don't have more time. It was terrific.
Thank you. We're now visiting Jerry O'Connor, the Democratic incumbent running for his second term in the Township Council. Jerry and his wife Maureen have 5 sons and have lived in East Brunswick since 1962. He is employed as a programs manager and product safety specialist for the JCPenney Company in New York City. Jerry is council liaison to the Planning Board, a member of the East Brunswick Youth Service Commission, and past member of the Zoning Board and the Recreation and Parks Advisory Board. Jerry, you've been here for 20 years. At what point did you start getting involved? What started your interest in East Brunswick?
Rhea, somewhere around 1975, 1976, I was asked to be a committee man in the district as a Democratic committee man. And of course, I didn't know what the job entailed. Prior to that period of time, 1975, 1976, I'd been a commuter, I'd been a family man, and trying to help my wife raise our family. But in 75 and 76, I was asked to do that. And of course, I thought it was a good way to become involved in the township, to find out what the township has to offer, to find out what the Democratic Party has to offer the residents of East Brunswick. So I did accept that job. And ever since then, I found that an extreme interest on my part in what goes on in this township. After becoming, well, I am a committee man now, yet, but I was also asked to be at least to be screened and interviewed as a member of the Zoning Board of Adjustment. And that was in 1976, 1977, and I was picked to be a member. I found that to be very, very stimulating, and it was a way of really finding out how the township works, how township government works, what are all the rules and regulations that residents have to live by, what some of the things are that residents are concerned about. When they go to the Zoning Board of Adjustment, they are going there because they need some sort of variance or relief from something that they wanted to do with their fences, or they wanted an addition to their home closer to the property line. And of course, there are rules and regulations that govern that kind of thing. But I placed myself in a position as a resident, and here I am on the other side of the table judging whether or not they should be granted that relief. So I saw it from 2 sides, and I became extremely interested. And then from there on, I was asked to run for Township Council, and of course I'm running for my second term right now. But every step of the way, I have found it extremely rewarding, sometimes frustrating, and very satisfactory as far as my second job is concerned.
Well, every day you get on a bus and you go to New York and you meet all the commuters who don't have much time to know what's going on in town, to participate, or maybe they just don't have the time to complain to anybody, but here they have you on the bus with them. What are you hearing from the bus riders?
Well, in the mornings, most people are wide awake. I mean, they've just gotten out of bed, they've gotten on the bus, and it's time for a lot of chatting back and forth, and it's probably the best time of the day to do that. But I hear very good things from people. I don't hear many of the complaints that perhaps you might read in the papers now and then. I hear good things about East Brunswick. The people just love living here. It is suburbia to them. It is far enough away from the cities that they've moved to this area. They've lived here for years, and they don't find anything wrong with it. Oh, there are things that bother them, primarily when we hit Route 18 and we're on our way to the New Jersey Turnpike. The first thing that will come out of their mouth as we are engaged in conversation is, what is wrong with Route 18 and when is somebody going to do something about it? And what they're talking about is the bumper-to-bumper traffic and how long it takes to get from this end of the town up to the New Jersey Turnpike. I have been telling residents for probably about a year now that the state and the county are extremely close in awarding the money for a developer and a contractor to widen Route 18 in the sense that it will be completely resurfaced and restriped so that the shoulder can be used as a third lane, and this will be in both directions. And in fact, this is going to happen.
People have been hearing about Wheelabrator Fry wanting to build a garbage incinerator. They've been hearing there might be problems with the water. You've been on the trail, knocking on doors during this campaign. What are you hearing from the average resident? Are they aware of these problems?
Well, surprisingly, again, just like the commuter on the bus, most people are not aware. If they are aware, they have said that, well, I really don't find anything wrong with the water. We've chatted about the water, and we've talked about the tests that the township has done, and as a matter of fact, a quarterly test for the past year and a half, and they seem reassured that the water so far is fine.
Jerry, there's been several issues that have come up before the town that involve a lot of people. The sewers in the town green, Wheelabrator Fry. You always seem to be the council member who comes up with an alternative solution. What accomplishments are you most proud of?
Well, you did mention sewers through the town green area, and I might just speak about or comment about that for a moment to explain what that was. The township did see a need to have sewers constructed through the town green area, but also saw that the best way that they felt that it should be funded is through an assessment to the owners of the property in that town green area.
Maybe we should explain what the town green is. The town green is the Cranberry Road area that's being developed into townhouses and multifamily dwellings.
Generally, you're right, Rhea. Generally, that sits not too far from this particular area. Is the area that has most of the open fields along Cranberry Road and Ruse Lane. But nevertheless, the township at that time felt that the best way to fund that $2 million construction project was through an assessment to property owners. Now, many of the property owners, even up until now, are not developers, but rather they're farmers who currently own that property there. I didn't see that as a way of raising money to assess farmers who were not developing their land and to raise the money in that matter. I felt that anybody who is going to want to build in East Brunswick should be able to fund the project by building the sewers themselves. If East Brunswick is important for them to build a home, whether it be townhouses or apartments, then they ought to be able to come up with the money to construct the sewers. Some of the other things that I feel that I've been involved with, and importantly so, is you mentioned Wheelabrator Fry. And I'm going to have to go back to the zoning board that I mentioned a few moments ago, that when I was on the zoning board, there was an application that came to the zoning board then, which consisted of a firm that wanted to locate 3 extremely large propane tanks there. And of course, sitting right next to the Edgeboro area where this particular development wanted to locate is the Pine Ridge area, and these are residential homes. I immediately saw that the location of 3 propane tanks next to a residential area is not quite the thing to do.
Were the people as upset as they were about
Of course they were, and they attended every zoning board meeting, and they voiced their opinion adamantly opposed to that. But it wasn't hard to see that that sort of application does not belong there. Likewise, with any heavy industry which is located in that area, does not belong there. Not too long ago, that area was designated as M3 meaning in this township that it's heavy industrial. I'd never felt that heavy industry belonged next to a residential area. So what I did was to introduce an ordinance, fortunately accepted by the Township Council, to change that heavy industry zone to at least light industry. And along with that change was a requirement that the planning board set up criteria by which they will judge applications that consist of light industry, and to see whether or not they're appropriate for that area. So we really went from a heavy industrial zone and the potential of heavy industry locating there to a light industrial zone.
Jerry, you and your wife Maureen have brought up 5 sons in East Brunswick, and they're now 14 to 24. What do you think East Brunswick has to offer youth?
Well, while we were raising our family, and still are, we find that the recreation programs in this township are just absolutely excellent. And they are good for younger children who move in, as we were, as our children were when we moved in. It's just, the sports programs in this township are excellent, run by private sports organizations and the township as well. I think it's important to continue those programs that focus on the needs of the younger children, but now it's equally as important to focus on the needs of the teenagers who are in the 15, 16, 17-year-old bracket. Right now, it's no secret that everybody winds up at the malls as their recreational activity area. It's something that we do have to look into. It's something that the Parks and Recreation Board is always looking into.
Jerry, being on the council for 4 years, you see ordinances, you see resolutions. It must get very hard to see the forest for the trees. What is your long-range plan for East Brunswick?
The reason I moved to East Brunswick, Rhea, is because I liked the suburban environment. I still see and will continue to see East Brunswick as a suburban area. It must be supported by ratables of an industrial commercial type or light industrial, because services don't come cheaply. But I still see East Brunswick as the kind of town that I saw here 20 years ago. It is a residential community. I will always want it to be that, and I will strive to work in that direction.
Jerry, I'd like to meet your wife, Maureen. That she has a lot to say.
Fine, I'm sure she does.
Maureen, it's nice to meet you, and I'd like to know how you feel about all the time that your husband gives to the town. He's doing a lot of good around here. He's been on every board, on practically every commission, and it means time away from you and your sons.
Well, first of all, I always admire Jerry's stamina. He has a tremendous amount of energy, so he's able to fill all of his roles as a husband, father, councilman, and do a good job at all of them. He does spend time away. However, the children are older now, so there isn't that tremendous need, you know, as there used to be when the children were younger. And I also have developed my own interests, which is tremendous. And I'm away too a lot of the times, and which is very interesting because then we both share in each other's work or whatever we're doing, and it works out very well. And Jerry loves what he's doing, and he's very happy at it. And if he's happy at what he's doing, I'm happy, and if I'm happy, the children are happy. So it really works out very well.
Does he use you as a sounding board?
Sometimes, not all the time, though. Not all the time, no.
Have you been involved yourself in politics?
At one time, yeah, early on, you know, I was working a little bit here and there, volunteering with the township, which was really nice too. So we're kind of both. I understand what he's doing, he understands what I'm doing, so it really works out beautifully.
Are you participating in the campaign?
Just so far as, you know, supporting Jerry or having maybe a coffee here, and going along with him in various things, certainly. And, you know, Jerry is a really terrific person, and
I'm sure a lot of people share your feelings.
Yeah, and I just, so it works out really well, it really does.
I'd like to thank Jerry and Maureen O'Connor for allowing us into their home today. It's been nice to share a personal moment rather than seeing Jerry all the time in the structured setting of a township council meeting. It's been very informative.